Hello, and welcome to our presentation about supporting autistic learners with a particular focus on anxiety-related absence. My name is Marion Rutherford, and I'm co-presenting today with Lorna Johnston, who you'll hear from shortly. We're both from the National Autism Implementation Team, or NAIT. Anxiety-related absence is a long-standing issue that's been highlighted by the COVID context. Traditional approaches and mindsets have not always led to the best outcomes for autistic learners. It's not a straightforward issue, but we're offering our perspective on how it could be approached. Here is our contact information. There are lots of free education-related resources on our website, and if you're tweeting today, you can follow us on @NAIT Our team is involved in work across a range of areas that you can see here. Collaborative working across sectors is key to all of these. This presentation particularly focuses on autism in schools, and there are other NAIT sessions in the conference that you may be interested in. The NAIT Making Things Happen presentation gives an overview of all of our work, and there are sessions on employment and diagnostic pathways. We hope that these highlight the interconnectedness of all the areas of our work. In line with getting it right, support should not be diagnosis dependent. The focus is on identifying and meeting need. However, at the same time, autistic individuals and their families tell us that timely diagnosis is important. To start with, we'll give a brief overview of the education-focused work the NAIT team have done over the last year, and we'll focus mainly on anxiety-related absence and finish with some next steps. We've been involved in a range of work supporting autistic learners, examining the ways that health, education and other partners can work together as different needs arise before, during and after diagnosis. And here's a quick run through of our recent activities. Our website contains a range of free downloadable information from NAIT national events as well as webinar presentations. There's a wide range of guidance, including the anxiety-related absence guidance, which we'll focus on later. You might find our key messages helpful. There are messages to support autistic learners returning to school and a set to support learners at different developmental levels. Our guides to using visual supports and accompanying visual support materials are free to download and use. As with many people, our work was diverted by the COVID context, and in response to national requests, we worked with partners to create a range of guidance and resources relevant to the time when children were at home and in preparation for the return to school. You can find these in the COVID-19 section of our website. We work in partnership with Education Scotland and others to refresh and relaunch the Autism Toolbox. The content is rationalised and focuses on evidence-based practice. For many years, the autism community has hoped for more information about autism to be part of initial teacher education, and we were really pleased to be part of a Scottish Government working group developing resources which can be used across all initial teacher education in Scotland. In a related piece of work, we have written an autism guidance to complement the newly updated General Teaching Council professional standards for teachers. These will be published by GTCS Scotland as part of a suite of guides in the next few months. For those who know us well, these won't be a surprise to you. We're fairly predictable, although key messages might vary slightly for different contexts. These are our core messages for supporting autistic learners. Firstly, ensure adjustments are anticipatory, listen to parents, provide predictability, use visual supports, provide a safe space, plan for movement breaks, seek to understand distressed behaviour, make learning meaningful, and of course, we were expecting you. Improvements in practice for supporting autistic learners need to happen at all of these stages. There's an ongoing need to develop and maintain universal inclusive practice that welcomes all learners in all education settings. There will be autistic learners in all of these education settings, and each is an individual. There may be times where additional adjustments are needed over and above inclusive practice. Our role is to support this graded approach through all of our work. As part of getting it right staged intervention, there can also be a need for specialist support for the child and family from people who are based out with the school setting but working together with the school team. Within education, there is sometimes a view that diagnosis doesn't matter. Autistic individuals and families send a strong message that diagnosis is important to them. Although it doesn't or shouldn't change the support provided, autistic people and their families tell us that timely diagnosis helps them to have an understanding and access relevant information now and in the future. As a cross-sector team, we're involved in work to ensure that diagnostic pathways sit within the Getting It Right national practice model. Education staff have an important role in gathering and sharing information relevant to the assessment process, and an understanding of the child's environment is as important as understanding of the child in diagnostic assessment. So I'm going to now hand over to Lorna, who's going to talk about anxiety-related absence.
Hi, I'm Lorna. As we highlighted in our presentation, Making Things Happen, language use is very important. Anxiety-related absence occurs when learners are either reluctant to go to school, they've got reduced attendance, or they're not attending at all. In the past, this was referred to school phobia or school refusal. These terms suggest that the problems lie within the child. Using the term anxiety-related absence can help shift our mindset so that the adults around the child have a shared responsibility and to understand and to adapt. Although this has been a long-standing issue for many autistic learners, the COVID context has brought it to the fore, and we identified this would be a useful focus for NAIT. So this on your screen now is a recent document. It's available on our website. It's free to download. It's called Anxiety-Related Absence, A Guide for Practice. This guidance was developed through review of published literature, looking at national and local guidance, and in consultation with the autism community, including autistic people, parents of autistic individuals, and professionals from health, education, and third sector. So there are two parts to the document. Firstly, understanding anxiety-related absence, and secondly, what steps can we take? The resource provides information about each of the things on your screen now. It's important, though, that we don't wait for a crisis. Anxiety in autistic learners might present in a range of ways, and it's important that practitioners are aware of this. Understanding an individual's reasons for being anxious will help with identifying relevant solutions. Although anxiety-related absence is perceived as a school problem, it's important to consider the 24-hour life of the child and the impact of the situation on the family. The first and most important step is to take time to listen to the family perspective. And it's also helpful to understand each individual's perspective on peer relationships and how this might affect their motivation to attend school. In our experience, there can be a tendency to see anxiety-related absence as a big problem and then jump to solutions. Actually, we need to pause to make sure we're asking the right questions. Are we understanding why they're anxious? Ultimately, if we refer to CAMS, give them a people support assistant, or give them a part-time timetable, we haven't actually changed the sources of anxiety or provided the child with their own sources of regulation. These could all be viewed as sticking plasters, but actually keeping the planning focused on making day-to-day life predictable and desirable might be a better way forward. Asking the right questions might mean doing things differently as a team. To support teams in schools, we've included a set of reflective questions on page 21 of the guide. And I'm not going to go through all of these now, but examples might be checking to see if existing plans and strategies are being applied consistently over a period of time, or whether the learner's school day and experiences are meaningful to them, make sense to them, and whether they're sufficiently predictable and desirable. Often we're asked for ideas for dealing with behaviours or meltdowns when children have anxiety already at a very high level. And whilst we would advocate providing the right support to avoid getting to this point, we don't always get this right. Within this resource, we use the losing it line as a tool to help people understand the reactions that they see, and to understand that the reactions they see are unlikely to be explained by the last thing that happened. In actual fact, a wide range of factors in a young person's environment and routines are likely to have contributed. We're going to talk you through a scenario using the tool. We start with a graph. The y-axis up the side marks the level of anxiety, and the x-axis along the bottom is the passage of time. And each point on the coloured lines represents a different event in the day. So the blue line along the lower part of the graph represents most neurotypical people on the average day with nothing big or significant going on in their life to cause major distress. So They might get up in the morning, worried about the day ahead, but they calm themselves down, thinking quite calmly about the day ahead over a cup of tea. They set off for work and there's a diversion on the road. They start to get anxious about being late and they take a detour. But lots of others have taken the same route and now they're stuck in traffic and they're really late. Bang! Suddenly the car behind bangs into theirs. No one's hurt, but it's going to take the rest of the day for them to return to the level they were at the beginning of the day. For a range of reasons, autistic children are likely to start their day at the higher level, the green line. They may wake up anxious, but their parent calms them down by looking at the visual timetable for the day, talking them through it. Oh, there's none of their favourite cereal left, but it's okay, they find an alternative they like. They set off to school later than usual, so someone else got to the front of the line first. Then someone else got the coat peg they'd wanted. Someone else brushed past them and brushed them softly on the arm. That's it, they've lost it. They're on the ground, they're kicking and screaming, they are over the losing it line. And the adults around them are saying, there's no reason at all for that. It's come from nowhere. But it hasn't. We can't take away all the sources of anxiety for the child or the young person, but we can try to reduce them. The NAIT key messages are all designed to do this. One of the simplest ways to do this is to make the child or young person's day predictable. Our anxiety-related absence guide contains 2 case examples. One of them's Anna. We're going to talk you through Anna now. Anna's in S4, so 4th year of a mainstream secondary school, and was recently diagnosed with autism. She loves reading, crafts, and going to the theatre. Her parents report that friendships became difficult in primary 6 when Anna felt that others were picking on her, and she reported incidents of bullying. In early secondary, getting ready for school in the morning began to take longer and longer, leading to regular lateness. Anna talked of not knowing whether certain teachers were going to be there or knowing whether particular events were going to happen or not. Small changes to the plan for the day could unsettle her entire day, and she'd often be absent on the following day or days. Over the course of 4 years at secondary school, Anna's attendance reduced from 94% down to 48%. Anna enjoys learning, and when she's in class, she's attentive and she works hard. And she tends to put homework tasks off till close to deadlines, and then she works really late into the night as she's anxious to make her work perfect. She has a small group of friends at school and she talks positively about them, but she often worries whether she might have upset them, and when things go wrong, she struggles to find ways to repair the situation. She worries about being viewed as stupid and that she always gets things wrong. The team around Anna followed their local getting it right planning protocols. So, following this process, a plan was developed with strategies specific to Anna that involved adaptations at home and at school. Anna now has a whiteboard in her bedroom where she writes a sequence for her morning routine. She ticks each step off as she completes it. Anna has 2 key adults in school who she knows she can seek out when she needs support or information, and her parents also know that these are 2 consistent points of contact. Each Friday, Anna's given a timetable for the following week that accurately captures classes, teachers, special events, whether there's an assembly or a fire drill, and any special personal appointments that are particular to her, like a dentist appointment. She knows that other changes might happen, but she now knows and trusts that she'll be told of these with as much notice as possible. Anna's individual subject teachers email her at the start of each week to let her know what they'll be learning or doing in each period. And Anna says, now that I know they're teaching about photosynthesis, I really want to go because I need to know about that. It makes sense to her. A high-backed chair facing a corner in the Sport for Learning base has been identified as a safe space that Anna can go to anytime she feels she's becoming dysregulated or she needs a break from interaction. And she regularly spends part of her lunchtime here, calming herself and preparing for the afternoon ahead. The team discussed the possibility of Anna reducing the number of subjects that she studies. However, they listened to her views and they accepted her personal academic aspirations, and this resulted in excellent exam outcomes. One size does not fit all. The last section of the resource includes a range of tried and tested strategies and ideas for home and school. This is not a recipe, but there might be ideas there that you can draw on. And where absence is long-standing, some additional suggestions are given. Thanks very much for listening to our presentation today. You might also want to listen to our other sessions on making things happen and employment and on diagnostic pathways. You can also keep in touch with NAIT updates by following us on Twitter at NAIT Scotland. Bye then.